Hello, we're interviewing Fish today from Icons of Filth. Fish played on More Christian Soldier album, Brain Death 7-inch, and what's the other 7-inch?
All the other singles.
Yeah, all the other singles.
So,
And the latest single as well.
yeah, on Unplugged.
Why did you leave Icons of Filth in the 80s?
Interesting question. I had an opportunity, I thought, to set up a delivery business and convert people to being vegan locally. I was selling bread and vegan food, and I thought that was a valid way forward.
Oh, that was your job?
Yeah. I set up a small business delivering door to door, trying to sell vegan food.
And when you came back with the new lineup, the new recording, and many things have changed over the years. How are things now, playing live now, compared to the old days?
Well, yeah. So when Daffy said about doing it again, my first question to him was, would we encounter quite so much trouble as we did before with the people who wanted to stop us playing, like the National Front in Britain, who were a fascist organisation and used to turn up, skinheads turn up to the gigs. And he said, no, it's not like that anymore. So I guess in terms of the scene, it's a lot calmer because we used to attract a lot of trouble. But in terms of politics, of course, the music that we were doing back then, we hoped would be irrelevant by now, that things would have moved on, and they haven't. We've got a very polarised society. We've got people being left behind and extremes of wealth. We dehumanise people, and that's really upsetting to see. We haven't moved a lot further forward, with that.
So was 80s shows were more violent?
Oh yeah.
A lot of trouble.
Yeah, we had a lot of trouble back then. Yeah. So the National Front at one point printed up our tour dates saying these concerts must be stopped. So we got a lot of skinheads.
Why were they after you?
I guess because they disagreed with the politics, So, in fact, well, we would talking about this the other day. Our artist Squally, of course, who recently passed away, but what an amazing guy and what an amazing artist, and he did some backing vocals for us. When we were playing live, he was on stage at one time. We had a lot of skinheads turn up. And started Zekiling, then they dragged him off the stage and into the audience. Conflict in ourselves, of course, got involved in sorting out the situation, I guess. But coming from a more pacifist leaning myself, it's very difficult when you encounter people who, of course, are not wanting to treat others in a reasonable way.
How did you guys deal with it back then?
Unfortunately, we responded with violence,
Fist fighting.
Yeah, it got very, very difficult.
And I noticed a difference at your time in the 80s in England. You guys had so many banners and backdrops. Not just Icons of Filth, every other bands did. What happened?
Yeah, well, we still do at home. We can't travel with them sometimes, of course. But we've got some the original hand-painted ones. Colin out of Conflict put us in touch with an artist who did those, and it was this chap who lived in a caravan, and he had a barn, and he did them. And I went up to pick them up, and they were so beautiful, but we don't actually know where those are currently. So we've reprinted them, but of course they're not the hand-painted versions that we originally had. And of course Squally's amazing artwork. But
would you say Icons of Filth are more known now or in the 80s?
Yeah, interesting question. I mean, I guess the gigs are of a similar size, in many ways. But yeah, there's a certain infamy about the band that has attracted a new audience, I guess.
How did you like the CY Fest you guys played at?
Yeah, well, really liked it, loved a lot of the bands that we got to see. Was a little disappointed in the prices that people were getting charged, specifically for drinks and things. It makes no sense. to charge that much at a punk festival when people might struggle to afford it. So, yeah.
How about the crowd?
Crowd
compared to ladies?
were awesome.
Do you see any of the difference in the punk in America and England?
Well, people here are certainly enthusiastic, and I think currently it's attracting a younger audience, and it's cool.
Oh, it's more older in England?
Sorry,
I need your tea.
Well, there's a new scene coming through, but I don't think the older scene has linked in with it as well, as they could have. So there's some great new bands around, people like Meryl Streep, Soft Play, Bob Vylan, people like that. But maybe that hasn't quite linked together in terms of the two scenes. It seems to be developing slightly separately in the past.
Besides punk rock life, what do you do for work in the paintings?
I'm a social worker.
Oh wow!
So yeah, it made perfect sense in terms of my beliefs about how society is to go into social work. So after Icons of Filth and the delivery business, I ended up in social work. So.
Is it hard being in a band and doing social work and all that stuff to get days off?
Yeah, well, I actually work part-time because I believe strongly that people shouldn't have to work full-time. That people should have scope for their creative outlets, and everyone, that's part of what I think punk rock is about, is that, everyone's got a creative part of them that needs expressing.
Through the years, some people change and got out of animal rights or stopped being vegetarian or vegan. How did you stay still committed?
I don't think I had an option. I don't think that, if you believe something, you believe something, isn't it? But it's got easier, isn't it? Being vegan now, when I turned vegan, I hadn't actually met one, so it was very difficult then.
Oh,
yeah. But my brother, he was persuaded that it was a reasonable thing to do as well. So we at least always had someone close to me.
Did you see your brother?
Yeah.
Older brother?
Younger.
He got you into it?
No, I got him into it, and so I had a friend in the trenches.
Is this your first time in America?
It is, yeah.
What do you think about America?
Well, I've only seen bits, of course, but LA seems like some big cities to replicate what capitalism does, and has extremes of wealth, and you're seeing people who have been left behind, sometimes homeless, and there's a big problem with that. Obviously, it's very evident downtown.
Is there more here?
Hard to gauge. I mean, we have our own problems where I am, and of course, being a social worker, we're often involved with, people who are finding accommodation hard.
Oh, I want to ask you too. In the 80s, in England, you guys had a lot of squat gigs and stuff.
Yeah.
Is that still going on, or is it no more squat?
No, the scene isn't like it was, in that sense, and the rules around squatting and what's permissible and what was illegal changed. So it killed that, part of it off somewhat.
What was your favorite memorial icons of kid in the 80s?
In the 80s.
Like the best.
Right, yeah. Yes.
Something you could always think about and look back.
Yeah. Well, they were all very memorable for different reasons. Some of them, of course, more for the violence that surrounded them. I guess we played up in Glasgow a couple of times, which were quite incredible gigs, and we're still in touch with a lot of the people that came to those gigs, and from some of the bands that we played alongside, like Constant Fear, and people like that, and they've got a beautiful scene still going on. A lot of really supportive guys. Top gig as well.
Icons of Filth inspired a lot of kids, and the kids who grew up now, they have tattoos of Icons of Filth. I have a tattoo on my back too. What's your opinion about people who have Icons of Filth tattoos?
Oh, I'm so impressed. I mean, Squally's artwork. I mean, why would you not want to celebrate it, isn't it? I'm so indecisive. I've never managed to get a tattoo, but
Tell us a little bit about the artist. Not that many people know.
Yeah, well, Squall was I mean, he's such a humble guy. So even if you got to chat with him, he wouldn't, you know, give away much in terms of what he was capable of. But yeah, he used to come up with artwork, and we'd just be blown away. You know, we'd have some vague idea of something, and he'd come back and he'd just, you know, this is the thing. You're like, you know, it was on another level. But he's such a quiet, decent guy, you know, and like I say, so humble. And he did artwork for like Poison Idea and stuff. He's done all sorts. But yeah, very inspirational, isn't it?
Will we see his artwork that haven't been released?
Well, we wanted to do some sort of memorial for him, and so we're still in the process of talking about how best to do that and how best to show his artwork, because it is quite phenomenal. And so we've spoken to a couple of his friends who've got pieces that he's done, and so we're starting that process of thinking of how best to do that. Yeah, because there's a lot people haven't seen that he's done. Yeah, and he's big friends with Nick Blinko, of course. So yeah, and Nick did some artwork for us as well, you know, on some of the singles.
Also, for those kids, like the younger kids and stuff, who never met Stig and stuff, what was Stig like for people who never met him?
Again, another really deep, quiet, humble, beautiful human being, you know, that type of person. And yeah, you could talk to Stig for hours on a given topic, and he'd have a depth of knowledge about things, you know, and was really well, you know, thought out in ways. So that, yeah, obviously through his lyrics, you see his lyrics and think, oh yeah, there's, you know, it shows a level of understanding of things and creativity that he had. So yeah, what a nice guy.
I think I met him 20 years ago.
Yeah.
His son passed away too, right?
Oh man, yeah.
Heart attack.
Yeah. So it seems there might have been some sort of genetic component to that, perhaps. It seems that way, doesn't it? Yeah, which is awful. And you know, Calvin was playing in Grand Claps, you know, and great bunch of guys, you know. But yeah, and you know, and a similar age to when Stig passed. So, you know, it's yeah, terrible.
All these years, what makes you keep going and not giving up and staying punk as well?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've always...
Or selling out.
Yeah, well...
A lot of people get corporate jobs, or some people just leave the punk scene. Right?
Yeah.
Or they get office business job and...
Yeah, it's easy to do, isn't it? Easy to do. And you know, in life we all make compromises. I guess I'm fortunate because, you know, I've got the guys I play with, and Daffy specifically has always been a very close mate. And again, another humble guy, you know. And you know, my job, I'm with people who, you know, I work with people who are compassionate, who understand what's going on in the world, and that gives you, you know, strength to want to, you know, voice the anger about how things are. So yeah, and seeing what you see as a social worker, you know, people are hurting and this system isn't right. Or can I recommend a book?
Sure.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
Right. So I think people ought to if they get a chance to read Civilized to Death, which is a bit about how we've created a toxic environment, and we've created our own mental health issues and physical health issues quite often, and it's worth a look. It's worth a look.
Wow. Thank you for the inspiration. I'm actually inspired by all the 80s bands, like Icons of Filth and like early anti-set.
Yeah.
Early conflict.
Yeah.
All the early band, Existence and everything.
Yeah.
The UK anarcho band really changed my life. It really did. Thank you, and don't give up and keep going. You're gonna inspire a lot of people in the future.
Yeah.
All right.